Off the coast of South Africa sit warships from China, Russia, Iran, and South Africa, as they're running a joint naval exercise called the Will for Peace 2026. And the headlines say BRICS cooperation. But the real question is, why did this BRICS drill sail without two founding BRICS powers showing up with ships? Because if BRICS is a club, then this week just revealed something deeper. This isn't just about membership, it's about exposure. In 2026, alliances aren't about who agrees, they're about who can afford to be seen. Supporters say these drills strengthen South to South cooperation, while critics say they deepen global division. But I'm telling you the truth here. This drill is a live demonstration of the New World Order. It shows who can operate together, who must hedge, and who gets punished for stepping out of line. And remember, if you want more Africa First stories that Western media ignores, hit subscribe. We don't chase the headlines, we chase the truth. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why South Africa hosted, why China led, why Iran matters, and why Brazil and India watch from the sidelines. So let's get the facts straight. Again, the exercise is called Will for Peace 2026. It's running in South African waters near Simonstown, False Bay, close to Cape Town. Reuters and the AP confirm the active participants. They're China, Russia, Iran, and South Africa. And the stated goals are the usual official language: maritime safety, protecting ship routes, and interoperability, right? Meaning, can we operate together smoothly? Now, here's what they also confirmed. Brazil, Egypt, and Ethiopia attended as observers. So, yes, it's being framed as BRICS Plus, but the fleet reality is smaller and sharper than the acronym. So, looking at the trust factor here, Reuters and AP independently confirmed the drill, the name, the location, the participation list, right? But the truth is, this is not BRICS as a military alliance. It's BRICS Plus branded naval exercises led by a subset of states. So the real meaning isn't the press release, it's the signal. It's showing who can train together publicly in strategic waters while global tensions are hot. And the drill is never just a drill, it's a message with coordinates, right? So let's look at why this drill might feel like provocation. So you've seen the pushback. In South Africa, opposition voices argue the exercise compromises neutrality and aligns Pretoria with sanctioned or controversial states. Internationally, U.S. officials have signaled they're watching this closely, and reporting describes heightened strain between Washington and Pretoria around the choices. But here's the part that many people are missing. This drill is happening in a moment when global tensions are not just theoretical. Just days earlier, the U.S. carried out a military operation in Venezuela that captured President Nicolas Maduro. And Reuters details that the operation is part of a wider U.S. message about influence in the Western Hemisphere. They also reported the U.S. seizure of Venezuelan-linked oil tankers, including one sailing under a Russian flag. So this is the environment, right? And in that environment, a non-political drill becomes political, even if your press secretary whispers no comment, right? So among the largest ships of the drill were China's guided missile destroyer, a 160-meter plus surface combatant representing serious blue water naval capability. Alongside it was another one of China's support ships and Iran's forward-based ship, both large vessels designed for sustained operations far from home waters. And Russia contributed the small corvette and a fleet tanker. So while South Africa brought its own frigates to the exercise, these ships are not symbolic yachts. They are hard naval capacity projected into one of the world's busiest shipping corridors, right? So let's talk about who set out and what that reveals. So the core of the truth, that we're demonstrating for this episode here is Brazil's silence was a message. Brazil is a founding BRICS member, but they did not send warships. It sent observers. And officially, nobody says, we're scared, we're afraid, right? But the timing matters. Venezuela escalated pretty quickly. And at that moment, sending Brazilian naval vessels to a drill alongside China, Russia, and Iran would have increased Brazil's strategic risk, especially with the U.S.'s posture and enforcement in the wider Atlantic and Caribbean theater dominating headlines. So, while it wasn't stated explicitly, Brazil's non-participation fits a reality of risk management after Venezuela. So, when, visible alignment carries uneven costs. So Brazil didn't leave BRICS, it avoided becoming potentially the next demonstration. And then India's excuse, right, is strategic autonomy, and China is the reason. So reporting notes that India opted out as well, and India's position is a tightrope. So in this, it's in BRICS. It's also deeply invested in strategic autonomy, and it competes directly with China, especially at sea. So a China-led naval exercise branded BRICS Plus with Russia and Iran present a visible problem for India's balancing strategy, we'll say. So India's excuse is simple. India won't naval signal under someone else's flags, especially China's at the moment when its own maritime competition is intensifying. So India didn't skip BRICS. India skipped the optics, we'll say. And then Pakistan. So the practical constraint story here is that Pakistan is not a BRICS founder, but it's important to bring it up because it shows who can't afford to participate. So Pakistan's constraint in 2026 is structural. It lives under financial and security pressures that make open alignment more costly. And even Reuters and wider regional coverage shows Pakistan operating heavily in security-linked corridors and deals, not openly joining symbolic naval blocs, right? So some states can't freely sell geopolitics. Their economy is already collateral. And what does this mean for the rest of Africa, right? So South Africa hosted a drill in waters that matter to global shipping and trade, and Pretoria argues this is normal defense cooperation, that it also does this with Western navies. So that means Africa's not just the stage, it's becoming a pivot. But this pivot has a price. So you gain leverage, but you also inherit pressure, because multipolarity is not a motivational quote. Multipolarity is who can dock, who can insure, who can trade, and who can patrol. And Africa must never confuse more visitors with more sovereignty. Sovereignty isn't just about who salutes the flag. Sovereignty depends on routes, it depends on ports, and your rules being followed. So, yes, supporters call it cooperation, critics call it division, but the deeper truth is this drill exposes the new hierarchy. Some countries can show up with ships. Some can only show up with observers. And some must stay completely out of the frame, because after Venezuela, the world suddenly remembers that power doesn't have to announce punishments. Sometimes it simply demonstrates capabilities. And then everybody updates their behavior. So, mashallah, that's your African insight for today. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because I'm Mr.EmpowerTV. We don't chase the headlines, we chase the truth behind them. This is Mr. Empower, and I'll see you in the next video. And don't forget, if you want more Africa First analysis that treats Africa like a chess player and not the chessboard, hit that subscribe. Again, we don't chase the headlines, we chase the truth, and I'll see you next time.